well, sounds like my mic is super sensitive. Turn this down a bit, maybe. See if it makes a difference. Maybe too much. Yeah, we'll try that for now. It's crazy how sensitive the blue Yetis are, right? Thanks for that little report there, Rich. It's hard, right? And then look at I have to. All right. So just so sensitive. What do I have the gain? Not very high. All right. Good morning. I don't know how much we're going to get done in a short amount of time. I'm going to give it a shot here. I need to get a Linux virtual machine updated on that. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to start a repo. That's what's going to happen. Because, you know, it's not confusing enough to have 10,000 repositories on GitHub. Let's go take a peek. In fact, I have to admit that this tugs at my brain to like want to keep this cleaner. I'm not necessarily an OCD type either. I feel like I'm losing stuff. Surprised that no big deal. Okay, so let's think a little bit. Okay, let's try it this way. Let's create a new repository. Public. Go ahead and add a README file. I tend to like using this stuff right out of the gate. Yo, and license it MIT, which I'm gonna be quite honest, I don't know is what I want or not. I guess main seems to be in vogue, which is fine. I tend to like trunk. That's okay. No big deal. Okay, so we have a sample repository for playing with Git and an initial commit there. So what I can do now is, I've been thinking a lot lately. This came from some feedback. I was talking about Git a month or so ago, and I asked the audience a question. I said, how do you create a new Git repository? And I expected the answer to be git init. I expected someone to say it. And that's how it used to be. That's how someone used to answer git init. And this is, you know, going back many, many years. And I think something I found really interesting is that, like with many talks, the audience was kind of quiet, and then somebody finally said, git clone. And at the moment, it took me a little while to sink in while I was even hearing that, saying like, you know, that's probably true. We're not in the early days of Git anymore, where your first experience might be playing around with it on your own system. Now the experience is you go to work and they say, hey, here's the Git repository, and so you clone it. And how many people actually have experience creating one of these? So what I'm going to do, which is I don't, on Windows we have decent enough options without it, but I don't think it's a bad thing. Okay, so take a look at this. I can't shut down. Okay, so I've cloned it, so I should have Git hockey site. Open with Git Kraken. Made by using GitHub's little you know, sort of hide who you are feature, which I don't think is a bad feature, quite honestly. I think. I wonder. Well, I wish that I could say that this is my. Okay, I'll let Git Kraken. Okay. Have this. Now, have site I can code. More important, probably having this site though. Code. So there's really nothing going on in here. Let's do some quick things. So if our first commit, our very first commit is 34E886, if I do git file with the name, the hash, pretty print. Oh, of course I'm not in there. Try that again. And it says, okay, so this is the initial commit. And the initial commit has a tree. It's a fancy way of saying folder. Okay. And so let's examine that. If I want to do it, examine that. I don't need the whole hash. 3 blobs. Git ignore, license, and readme. And that matches up. Git ignore, license, readme. So this commit has, this is the entire repository. There's a blob git ignore, a blob license, and a blob readme. I only need this git cat file. A quick peek, and yeah, those are the contents of my readme. So I don't necessarily intend to dwell on this, but for me, what this shows me and what I learned from playing with these commands was saying, okay, so a commit tells me the status of the entire repository using a term called, using trees to represent folders and using blobs to represent files. So Git is a content addressable file system, which means the name of the file is directly related to the content of the file. That's not the same on our DOS-based file system here. This is like, I don't know what to call this other than this is like a name-based file system. That file is called readme.md for no other reason than that's what I called it. It's not based on how big it is. If this was like a file size addressable file system, maybe the file would be called 61 because it has 61 bytes. If this was like, you know, a date addressable file system, then maybe the time would be the name of the file. But the name of the file is arbitrary in DOS, Windows, Linux, just about anywhere. It's just something we call it. Well, in Git, that's not the case. In Git, the file name, the blob, is directly related to its content. This is the hash of its content, 6AF25B. And if I ask Git, can you print out for me what's in that blob? Git says, sure, here's what's in it. If I use a different command, this T command, it tells you the type. So git cat file says, well, 6AF25B, that's a blob. And what was that very first commit? It was this. If I change this to a T, Git is like 34EA86. Yeah, that's a commit. So might seem a little confusing, but the idea is this is the key for me. When I look at a graph like this, let's look at the ASP.NET Core graph. Each of these bubbles for me, this is an entire snapshot of the repository at that moment in time. The only difference is there's been a couple changes. So between this snapshot and this snapshot, this file was modified, this XML file, and this props file was modified, and that's it. And Git figures that out for me. So if that's my initial commit, let's start things off. Let's say we're building a project here. And I think the first thing that our project's going to need is like a home page, right? So let's get an index.html out there. And for me, because I want to make sure that we have a nice amount of commits, I'm just going to say index.html. And what's really great in Visual Studio Code is I can start a website just like that. And I think I can even just commit this. In fact, I'm going to, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say got status modified file there. So let's add index.html and run that again. There it is. That file's in the index. It's staged. I can unstage it with the new command git restore. That's cool that they're putting that right in there. I believe the other way, I think this was the old way to unstage. I don't know the old way anymore. And you know, I'm gonna forget it because this is being put this is saying restore the staged file. Take a look. Yeah, so it's no longer staged. I'm not gonna remember how you did it before. It's fine. I don't care. The new commands seem to be gaining some traction. So let's commit this, which I like doing from the editor. Say added basic. That's it. And then just because I like them. On an accelerator. That sounds cool. You create skeleton. Now, it doesn't seem like I've really done a whole lot here, but the key is I've made a commit, and that's what I can close a tab quickly. Close editor, close window. I want to know if I could say like close. Control F4. Didn't know that. Maybe I'll start getting used to that. So I control F4. So the Real Japan asks a great question. What do I use for an editor? There's a specific reason why I use Visual Studio Code, which I will get to when I create the next commit. So tonight on the Dev Talk Show, we're supposed to be talking about branching and merging. So what I'm going to try to do is craft a repository that will let us fall into some of these issues. I should have started on this over the weekend, but I spent the weekend at a hockey rink with my daughter's playoff team. So that didn't happen. Let's go ahead and put in some basics here. Let's say hockey. Close this off. And that's good. That's a good start. I'm happy with that as a start. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do now is let's go ahead and do multiple things. Let's bring in a style sheet. But yeah, when I do this next commit, I will show you why I use the Visual Studio Code editor to commit with, and actually why I use an editor and I don't generally do git commit -m. That doesn't mean I don't ever use it. I don't want to try and pretend like I'm that big of a snob, but I generally don't use it. So let's put in CSS here. Actually, that's fine. So we've got some CSS, and then let's run it real quick, see what this looks like. And there it goes. It's the ugliest site anyone's ever seen, but that's okay. So now that I've done that, back at the editor, I'm going to say, hey, you've modified this file. Yes, of course I could do this to just add everything. Like, there's no reason I can't do that. And let's also add CSS folder, and let's take a look at what the status looks like. And it's like, hey, I've got a file that I'm going to commit, this brand new file, and I've got this modified file. So the reason that I use this is if I start typing a long commit, it turns red when I get to the recommended length for your first row. Now, there is nothing wrong with going beyond this. It breaks nothing. This is an old standard from the early days of Git that actually was originally honored by, I don't want to say honored, but like, if you go past this and then commit to GitHub, I remember a time when your title would get truncated with a little ellipsis, which is not the end of the world. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but it's kind of made me think like, yeah, let me see if I can keep this brief. And if I have more to say, I will start on line 3 and I'll keep going. Why line 3? There's really nothing wrong with line 2. The old tradition used to be to leave a space. I feel like most IDEs, and that includes GitHub, includes anything you use online, whether it's Bitbucket, GitLab, most of your editors, they don't care. It's just kind of this old school thinking of leave a space because somebody might be viewing this at the command line. And then Visual Studio Code also puts a line here to try and remind you like, hey, you've reached that 73 characters. That's usually people don't pass for lines number 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So here I might hit enter and keep going. So this commit is add basic, all about hockey. And then what we'll do is we'll put a little more info here. Added the very basic premise of the site and first pass at styling. Again, not looking for perfection. Now I know I don't have to go to my... let's see if I can start remembering Control F4. So I've got these commits now. I've got my basic all about hockey, my basic index HTML. Let's go ahead and get this up to GitHub, and then we'll think about what we're going to do next. So if I just push those, it's going to be no problem. Okay, so this is how somebody might start working. First day, like, yeah, okay, here's the site. Let's get to work. All right. And this person, we tell this person, we say, what I want you to do is I want you to add a survey to the site. I want a survey. So let's create feature branch. Let's just think about how people are working at work. That's what I'm shooting for here. And a lot of times I think we do this stuff without thinking. We don't say, what am I actually doing? So let's say at your job you use, because a lot of places do this, you might have to, they might want you to name your branches so that they kind of make a nice folder structure. So we're going to say user C Gomez. What are we doing here? We're adding the fan survey. You might notice that when it comes to Git, I am kind of a fan of using dashes. And that's mainly just so I don't have to reach for the shift key if I were to underscore. And I know a lot of us in Microsoft land like doing things like this. This has become very natural for folks who've maybe been VB developers, C# developers, MFC developers from the old days. Like that's a very natural thing. But I've kind of found I like this, as it's readable. I don't have to reach for the shift key for the underscores. This is just me. It doesn't matter what you do. So I've got this feature branch, okay, and I'm going to work now. I'm going to work on this feature branch. But so the first thing I should do is this is going to be a fast forward feature, and I kind of want to see how this looks, because I'm interested in thinking about how will we talk about this tonight. So let's go ahead and create. I don't want to create it there. Well, I guess it doesn't create it. I can always move it. Grab the J here. S index.js. I've already got some ready-made code. Oh yeah, man, I was like, when I built this site, I thought I was so cool because I created like a lib for myself, and I was like, man, I'm gonna make this all JS. So I actually have this little library method where I export a ready function, right? And I'm like, real modular JavaScript. I don't know. But what's kind of nice is I guess I could go reuse. So what does this do? I'm importing that cool ready method. And then down here I'm saying, okay, when the DOM is ready, then let's add this event listener so that we're ready to respond to the team survey. Interesting. It's expecting some elements. Okay, so there's some stuff that's not on the form. The king. Oh wait, maybe it is. There actually are some things that are not in the HTML yet. Let's get them in. I hope I'm not jumping too far ahead, and I'll be sorry later. Because I'm gonna need to create some like conflict. So here's the survey code. It requires some images that I do not yet have on the site. Oh, just one image. I don't have a whole lot. Okay, so what I need is a little folder. I think I can just drag this. Oh, that is cool. Okay, so what I just did is, like, this is my current site, and I just grabbed this, dragged it across, and it copied it. I like that. That was cool. Thank you, Visual Studio Code, for that one. Kind of neat. Okay. Okay, so does the site work? I save everything saved. Take a quick peek at this. Oh, I didn't want to close it. Reopen it. Okay, so all about hockey. Hockey's a little fun. You need a special place to play ice hockey, but if you decide to use roller skates, you might be able to play in more places unless. Pretty important information. Which team is the best? And Ducks. That doesn't work. That isn't working. Okay. Huh, I may not. Oh, I know why it's not working. You know what's great about like live coding is I bet you I have been making little dummy sample websites for almost 30 years now. Like that's the crazy thing when you think about it. 1993, I'm sitting in a college lab making little websites. It was very different back then. And here I am today, all that time later, and I put in a JS file and I put in its dependency and I get all the HTML set up and I never linked the JavaScript file. So index.html never loaded it. All that time. Still, simple mistakes happen all the time. That's just part of it. That's why we run a quick test, you know? And that's why we say, okay, so that works. That all works. This is working perfectly, in fact. Pick the Rangers, go home Rangers. You pick the Ducks, you must be kidding. You pick the Kings, and of course. So this site works flawlessly. Let's look at committing it. So git status is telling me, hey, you've modified index, you've added untracked files. So, and I don't know. A lot of times when I'm teaching Git, that when I hit tab for completion, it went for the, well, whatever. Let's add image and let's add JS. And now let's take a look at the status. And the status is like, yeah, here's everything you've worked on. Now I want to correlate with that with Git Kraken, because Git Kraken would have already had the 4 files sitting here in unstaged. I do not I'll just make it clear. I go out, I use this to stage files. I do not run out to the command line to do it. And I can unstage and I can stage, and I just find it super easy. I use this to commit very, very often, and I really like how the commit message has it says 72. I try to keep it lower. But see, not everybody uses this tool. So a lot of times when I'm doing a Git demo. So here's what we're doing. I really like some of this new to me anyways. I like this. I like how this file's being parsed. Maybe this has been around for a little while, but Visual Studio Code seems to be parsing it and saying, yeah, let me put some highlighting in so you know what's going on. That's pretty cool. Okay, added team survey. I probably should have split this into multiple commits. In fact, so empty message aborts the commit. Boy, this is the kind of, well, I think, do you want to see? So aborting due to an empty commit message. So I didn't actually abort. So I think what we'll do is we'll unstage the JavaScript stuff. And we'll say like, yeah, this person's working on their feature and they get added user survey, added and survey form, fill the JavaScript, the super footer. Let's commit that just because I want to have more than one change now. Those. Okay, so now here's where the fun begins. I've got this branch. Team fan survey is functional. What I'm interested in now is, what does this experience look like? Let's think about this. I can, if I'm working in GitHub, I can push this. I can push this, and GitHub's going to tell me. A lot of these platforms use the term publish now for this kind of branch. If I look at Visual Studio Code, it's going to encourage me to publish the branch, which is really just a fancy term for doing this, which is push the branch. and set the remote as its upstream, which is like, what? And it sets its tracking branch to be like, hey, my local branch, user C Gomez add fan survey, is tracking a branch with the same name up at origin. That's the stuff that like people just go, what? So I've got origin, that's by default when you clone. Gotta think. Oh, you know what? My head's in the way too, isn't it? Okay. Good. I didn't even realize how much my head's been right there. So let's say that you've done this. And now let's go take a look up at GitHub land. Where GitHub's like, hey, you push, should we start a pull request? And I will say, yes, let's start a pull request. Pull request is added and survey. Okay, and then a bunch of stuff can happen here in the pull request. Let's create the pull request. It's telling me that it can already merge. There's no continuous integration. The branch has no conflicts. Merging is ready to go. And this is the interesting thing. By default, just about everybody's repos are probably set to creating a merge commit, squashing and merging, rebase and merging. Now, what I want to do is I want to come back to GitHub real quick, to my local machine. I want to forget about GitHub just for a second. If I said, let's merge this into main. The way I would do that is I would go to main, and then, in fact, I can even just pick it. I can just say, hey, let's merge. They even have a fast forward, but let's say let's merge it, and what happens? So it did create a merge commit. That's interesting. So that means Git Kraken is very aware of this, which is cool. I wouldn't do this personally, but I respect that people might want to. They might want to see that this was like a feature branch that looped off, because you could delete this branch eventually, right? And so then it's gone and nobody ever remembers that it was there. Okay, cool. So let's set this. Let's try it from the command line. From the command line, I'm on main. It's all local work now. It's not how GitHub does things. I'm on main, and I say git merge user. Now I think by default, Git at the command line, you can set up Git to work however you want. But let's say most people don't. I don't. So if I say git merge, I think it's going to say, well, I'm going to fast forward. So why should I create this merge commit and have diverging paths when these commits are directly on top of where main is now? Let me just pick up the sticky note and move it forward. That's what it did. That's what Git does by default. Okay, so that's what Git does by default. Now, let's reset again so we can try this. I believe that I can say git merge, and I can say that I want a merge commit. I think I can force it. So there's no commit. I think there's also no fast forward. Create a merge commit in all cases, even when the merge could instead be resolved as a fast forward. This is the kind of stuff I want to talk about tonight. I'm going to say no fast forward. Let's do this again, but with no fast forward. And Git says, oh, I didn't actually say what I was merging. No fast forward. Git, and so Git does what Git Kraken did when I right-clicked and said to merge the branch. Git follows that pattern. Okay, this is a needless merge commit. That's not bad. Basically, what Git does is Git says, let me create a snapshot whose parents are both the old main branch where I was just a second ago, and let's create its other parent will be the work you did, the AA03AF. Let's have two parents. Git doesn't do this by default in a fast forward situation, because it says why. Like, what's the point? What's the point of this parent coming here and a parent coming here when I get to the same place? Now, this is a matter of personal preference. I'm a fast forwarder. That's what I like, but I have nothing against this. I don't think this is bad. I don't think this is a mistake, because then theoretically these go away, and then at least somebody can come back later and say, hey, this happened. Now, let's look at the experience back on GitHub, because people don't merge into main the way I just did. That doesn't happen in the real world, right? So let's reset back to hard, and we know that we have a pull request out here. Okay, so pull request. If I merge the pull request, I just do that. Now I have an opportunity here to be a little smarter about, I think people just click this and they just go. So the question is it important to have this information to say I'm merging pull request from space? Sure, yeah, there isn't maybe much more to say here. This is going to be the commit, right? This is the commit that's being created by GitHub as part of this pull request process. So let's go ahead and merge. Pull request is merged, it's closed, we're good. Here are the commits, yay. Look, pull request history. Closed pull request, awesome, we're great, we're awesome. Let's look at the code. Now let's go look at how it looks back here. I don't have auto fetching on, which is fine. Most people have it on. So GitHub says, okay, merge this pull request 1 from SpaceShot, and you get that structure that people like. That way, when this goes away, you still have this same graph where the graph is diverging. Not a big deal. Okay, so do some work now. Let's set this. Did I do that right? Yeah, I did. And then I think if I get F, then that'll all go away. Yep. Let's go take a look up on GitHub. Yeah, we're back to where we were just a second ago, essentially. So this is demo 1, I think, is adding the fan survey, right? The part here is I want this to be recreatable. This is the fun part. And this document's going to be a long work in progress. I would like to build a course, but I kind of approach things a different way when it comes to it. So let's say maybe my notes tonight. So what we need in order to set this up, we need the trick. I feel like I need like a batch file or even a bash script, I don't care, that sets this up. And the way we're going to set it up is we're going to say, I bet you there's a quicker way to do this, but if I check out main and then I reset main, See, this is gonna have to be sitting somewhere waiting. Okay, let's do that. Branch here. I mean, what I really want to do, I want to check out demos. Not what I really want to do. I want to do I do want to say check out -v add fan survey. This is yeah, that's what I want to do. And then I want to check that out, and then I want to reset that pointer. Okay, that's what I want. I'm pretty sure that's what I want to do. So here's where the rubber meets the road, I think, is have this little virtual machine that I've been hoping will work out for me here. I probably don't need it to be the old functional, fully functional virtual machine. I'm just kind of hedging my bets in case. Like I kind of think I could use the Azure Cloud Shell, or I could even use WSL, I think. I mean, I have the terminal open. $25's good enough. So let's try it. Let's try it. Let's blow this away. Delete that commit. Okay. Oh. Good. Oh, I blew it away on my machine. I can delete it out on the remote too. Cool. Kind of nice. So I'm gonna have this demos thing. I'm gonna be on main. This is what the world looks like to the viewer, to the person watching. And what I do then, I say, well, let's run through it once. Let's run through it. Let's say git checkout main, and it's like, yeah, sure, I can do that. And then git reset. I guess it's not capitalized. Okay, so yeah, and that was kind of a no-op, but I don't know that it'll be a no-op. So I thought, then we're going to create a new branch. Okay. That's cool that it remembered That's cool, actually. I like that. I actually kind of like that. Just in case there's an upstream, right? Then what I want to do now is, so I've created that branch, but that's not where I want it. So if I reset, then it does what I want. It does what I want. It puts everything back so that I'm ready to start doing this demo. So what that means is this is fine. And then what did I call this? Set up demo 1. Now, I don't know if I can actually cut and paste this, but we're about to find out. Okay, that was nice. That was easy enough. But I've got to switch to a different folder, right? Actually, don't. Well, maybe I do. I wonder if I've gotten that right. Yeah, let's find out. The worst thing that happens, right? So, do you use strictly CLI or do you use GitKraken's UI sometimes? I actually use GitKraken's UI frequently. I'm purposely being a little kind of pedantic right now because I know what I want are setup scripts. So that essentially, I think if you can see what I'm driving at, is I feel that a good Git course is going to require me to like shift around the Git repository to create a scenario and then say, okay, let's solve this. Now, future goals include putting that on GitHub so that other people can try it. They can do it manually. And I actually would like to start a project where we build something like a free code camp, except it's for Git. And there's tutorials, and the tutorials set up repositories in your own GitHub account, so they're yours to own, that you manage. But they basically will set up scenarios for you with your permission, and then you work through them. And I think that can all be automated. So I am definitely using the CLI more today than I usually do. And part of that is because I want to build these automated scripts. But the fact is that I do try to stay sharp with the CLI, so that way, since I do teach this a lot, I'm kind of in a good place to help other people. What? My dog Scooter clearly wants. I may not actually end up needing. All right, so I'm gonna have to go out. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me see if this all works. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of wreck things on purpose. I've got my demo, my simple merge demo, and I'm not gonna wreck it, but let's go ahead and hit merge. Let's check out main, and then let's git merge at user thingamabobber autocomplete. I wish that would have been cool. Survey do that. Let's merge it, and let's merge it with that no fast forward option again. And it does it. Merge made, and there's everything. And so now, like, I'm in the middle, I'm teaching the class, you know, and so then the question is, how do I put things back quickly? So can I, the question, no, that didn't work because I wasn't able to directly, which is okay. I had a feeling I'd get this wrong. So let's fix this text file. Okay, I wrote it. Good. Exit. Now let's try it. Okay. Okay. So it did a bunch of stuff, automated. But it didn't do everything I like that this is back. Main didn't get... Oh, no. Main didn't get put back the way I wanted it. Is that because I didn't put it in the... I reset. I thought I wanted to reset main, or did I do it wrong? Already on main. Oh, this one I messed up. Oh, but actually that's okay. So my checkout of main did not move back where I wanted it. I wanted main moved back here. Right? That's what I want. That way if I shut off origin, it looks like this. That's what I was looking for, and I didn't get that. Okay. Well, figure out what happened here. We've kind of oh, wrong. Merge. Messed up. This is going to check out main and then reset to here. That didn't seem to happen. Yeah. Something. You know what it is that the fatal checkout is what's killing me. That's what it is. So, can I make sure that that never fails? Or at least if it does, it's not harmful. Oops. Boy, not what I wanted. I've probably had it. Okay. Just fashion it up. Okay, so I branch. I reset main. I branch. I check out. Unset the upstream. Reset. So I feel like I should be able to check out main. You know, can't I make the branch where I want it though? can, but see, I don't know if there's command this or if it does exist. I wonder. I feel like I'm going about this maybe harder than. Okay, so that did what I wanted. And if it fails on the branch already existing, who cares? If it fails because there's no upstream, who cares? But I still switched and then moved where I wanted it. I actually did manage to switch branches and then head move. So that's kind of what I want there, I think. I may be able to do that with switches on each of those commands instead of having to be so explicit, but that's okay. It does what I want. So now if I do something like move domain, let's just completely get rid of this branch. Let's just completely throw it away. Okay, so then in fact, I'm even going to go one further and like move main here. So it's like, oh man, everything's totally messed up. Run the script. Back where I want it. This is what I want. Okay. So now what I think what I really want that script to do, if I want it to be pure magic, I want to be in another repo but set both as remotes and then basically say, okay, create the branch over there. I don't know that I'm going to worry about doing that right now. But what I am going to do is take the dog out very quickly. I will be right back. Okay, so it was like 70 degrees here a couple days ago. Today it's in the 30s and kind of icy. So I go outside and now I'm freezing. Whew. And you know, just a couple weeks ago, I would have looked at this temperature and said like, oh, it's warmer today. But you start heading towards spring, and it doesn't take much to feel cold again. Okay, so I'm kind of happy with this. And what I want to do, I think what I want to do is I think what I really want to do. I already have Git puzzle. That's okay. Do it. Let's go ahead and figure out that magic. Oh yeah, winter advisory, huh? What's going on here? I think they're saying like, oh, it's gonna be icy. Hope it doesn't conflict too much with what kids are trying to. That'll be fun. So, keep it public. I don't really care about a description. I don't want to initialize this repository. Okay, so now that I have this, I should be able to what am I going to call the remote? I don't know. So let's create a remote. Get remote add. Hold it. That's just where I want now. So now I can send stuff to the DevTalkShow's version of this, and I can send stuff to my own version of it. So what am I on? I'm on on adfans. So if I check out main, then I push this to oh, I should have just called it the DevTalkShow, right? Instead of being, if I push it to golden. Okay. See what that looks like. Cool. All right, good. The other one I need to send up here is I need to send the demos one up. I don't actually care about sending my user branch up. So let's check that out. Push that to golden. Interesting that it's not asking. I find it interesting that I'm not having to set up a tracking branch. Maybe because it's not origin. There's some Git default that's going on there. There's some default that I don't fully understand. Wait, what? Okay, so what does the world look like now? Golden guy has branch I want. I mean, it's main, but the reality is they're in different places, right? That's the tricky part. Not so much that I want to call it. Oh, I can edit it. That's cool. Cool that I can edit it quickly. So this is like, wow, this is what's going to be crazy is I'm coming up with a convention for this. It's gonna be nuts. Oh, what do you mean rename failed? Is it too long? I don't know why it's not valid. And I'm not trying to complain. I just don't know. Don't work either. Interesting. See what? Oh, its name conflicts with an existing rep. I've stumbled on something kind of weird here. Oh. Doesn't like. Okay. I think it doesn't like that that's an actual branch. Yeah. Huh. Well, what do you know? I may have. I feel like I have to rename it here first. And I bet you that works. That worked. Then see, it's not gonna update them. And I forget how to do that. Oh, probably because I fetch gold. Yeah, okay. Boy, there's a little bit of learning there. So now will it let me? Does it conflict with anything? Yeah, okay, and I understand why that worked and why it failed, actually. Because if I try to name the branch in an additive name, the problem is there was already a branch named demo/001 simple merge. So it's like, hold on, I can't create a ref that, like, I've already used that name. So what I did is I renamed it to just simple. So that way when I added on the -merge, it's not in conflict anymore. That probably makes no sense. But the reason why I think it worked is when I say get fetch golden now, from my perspective as a my local repository is, see this, I don't know that this has been pruned yet. I don't know that 001-simple was renamed. I don't know that it went away. So I wouldn't be able to create. I can't create a branch right now named golden. I can't create one named demos 001-simple and then something else, because there's already a branch here along the pathway. That's like an interesting Git issue. I've never run into that before, but I get it. I get why that doesn't work. So now if I prune, Git's gonna say, oh yeah, man, somebody got rid of that one. Okay, fine. All right. Now what I need is I need a main branch that's the same thing, basically. So if I go back to this code thing, I can create a branch. It's demos one. This is its main. I bet you it lets me do that. And if I fetch it real quick, take a look at it and get cracking. From Golden's point of view, I don't really care about my point of view at this point. I care about Golden's. Golden is like, yeah. I don't know why I'm not getting talk show. Okay, so anyways, all right. So I have branches I want. Now the trick is, how do I modify that script? So I mean, I could basically obliterate this repository. Let's create a branch 2, and I can check out main, and I can get rid of this, and I'm this, right? So I'm completely broken. I'm even gonna move main like here. Okay, so now the question, make sure I'm in the correct source folder. I want to be on the main branch. I guess this doesn't matter, right? I guess it's just a matter of saying, I mean, knowing the commit is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I guess it's just a matter of saying Golden demo. Not gonna be Golden, not like that. Not gonna be that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with knowing the hash. Let's see. Let's see. Like this is a weird way of putting it. I mean, I don't really know. That I have to be this crazy about. Yeah, I don't care. That hard. Oh, I can. Okay. Well, shoot. It's that easy. The only question is like, what's a golden, right? I don't know that I'm going to keep using that naming. I think I'm capable of right-clicking, saying copy branch. I think I can. Yeah, it's not exactly what I wanted, but. And then I think that I can do copy this. But I think I have to fold in it. And you know, here's the crazy thing. I think there's many ways to accomplish this. Many. I could just use commit hashes and go straight at the commit hashes. In fact, I could do that, and I wouldn't even really need a golden repo, so to speak. But part of me wants to try and create a scenario where it looks like what you're working with is totally clean. Like it doesn't, you know. So let's see if this works. If it works, I could get really tricky here in a way that like maybe is good, maybe it's not. Okay, fatal here, I blew up. So what did it end up doing? It ended up doing what I wanted. What I don't like is, oh, the fatal is because when I'm removing the upstream just in case, right? So that's not a bad condition, but everything did what I wanted. It did exactly what. So think about it. I feel like really say having like 2 remotes there. How do I want this to look? What I want. I think what I want is I want to disconnect. Let's see, my remotes look like this. So let's, is it remove? Remove or delete? Remove. So I want to remove that golden one. Just don't want it. Okay, gone. So to the user, the person looking at this, they're like, yeah. Is the easiest thing to do is to just quickly add the remote and then like that's probably the easiest. It feels wonky. But that's probably the easiest way to go about it. I can get rid of this thing. Even though I can even keep on it gold. But doesn't matter. I have the branches here that map to what I care about. Wouldn't like that. Oh, I didn't get my remote added. Oh. I'm not going to be able to use the SSH stuff here. I mean, I could set up SSH. I could do that. And I don't even think that's a bad thing. I could do it. But I think we're getting to where I'm not going to do it. There's nothing special about that file, I think. Here's the file here. I wonder what happens if I just execute it with command. Oh, did I? Oh, I brought the prompt over. Can I run that? That would have been too. Not that simple. I'd have to change. Ah. Not that big a deal. All right. Hey, Poor Man's Rose, thank you for following. I appreciate it. Setting up for a talk show tonight that's going to be on a different channel, the Dev Talk Show. But we're going to be working with Git, and what I'm trying to do is create some scripts that set up scenarios for me just automagically, and then go through those live in the show. I hope. That's the plan anyway. Let's see. I'm in Git scripts and I say where did I go wrong? I was able to do a lot of stuff. Okay, I blew up here. Oh, but I think That ambiguous argument stuff is bothering me. Let's try messing with this scenario, and see what happens if I run the script. I kind of want these scripts to be like idempotent, which just means I can run them at any time. So let's say that we were working through this. Let's say, you know, it's the show. We're like, yeah, now we're gonna do an example of a no fast forward merge, just so you can see what that's like. And it's like, yep, we did it, even though there was no need for it. There was no need to create this merge commit. We told Git create it anyway. This is what GitHub does by default, but the Git command line does not. By default, the Git command line does things the other way. So I want to be able to reset that quickly off screen so that people can see what that looks like, and that didn't do it. Says that this is ambiguous because I didn't fetch golden. That's why. That's the reason. Yeah, that's gonna be it. So yes, I've added the remote just really quick. I add the remote so I can pull the branches I want to create the scenario, but I didn't fetch it. I think that's it. Yes, that put everything back the way I wanted, and it even removed the remote. So here's the way this is going to work on the show tonight. And I don't care. It's not about hiding it, right? But I would have this like off screen. I would have this little, and the only reason I'm sitting in PowerShell, the only reason, is because then my brain visually will be like, here's what the audience wants to see, here's what I want to see. So I don't even actually need to have it in the same terminal. I can say, I can open a second terminal, and what I would do is I would set this one, and it's not for any other reason than a visual reason. I don't actually spend a lot of time in PowerShell, but just visually, I would take this and I would move it off screen. So let's pretend it's off screen, and I would say, okay, source, Git scripts, and then I would say, okay, let's work through scenario 1. That's probably not what I'm going to say out loud, right? But let's work through scenario 1. So I can say set up demo simple merge bat, right? And I would be doing this on the other screen, and I'd hit enter, and a bunch of stuff would happen. But when it's over, I'd come back to Git Kraken to show people, like, here's our starting scenario. Here's where we are. We have a feature branch that we were working on, and it's built directly on top of main. This is the simplest kind of merge in the history of the world. So now let's ask, and so I don't need this anymore. So, and I'll have to come back to that. And so let's ask Git to merge it. And when you ask Git to merge it normally, you say, hey, merge. First I got to be in main. So, and we have the new switch command. Maybe I'll start trying to get used to it. But in the past, I would have just said git checkout main. Okay, so I'm already on main. And I would say, okay, let's merge that feature branch. Let's merge adding the fan survey to the website. And by default, what Git is going to do at the command line is it's going to fast forward it. That's what it does by default. So we walk through that scenario and we say, hey, it did it. It did it. It did what we wanted. But then people be like, wow, that doesn't seem like what really happens to me at work, Chris. Like, you're crazy. You don't seem to know what you're talking about. So I say, okay, let's walk this back. And now I'm reset. And I don't have that fake remote. It's not fake. I don't have that remote to confuse people. There's origin, which is supposed to be the work repo. Like, it could be the place that we're all checking into at work. And then golden is a place off to the side where I'm pulling stuff down and I'm recreating the scenario and I'm just making it look like magic. So I say, oh, you mean when you check into GitHub and it looks like this, basically? I didn't merge. Maybe that'll be the last thing I do is check out main. And I say, oh yeah, because at work it looks like this, right? And it's like, well, what? What do you mean? I didn't know it could be different. Well, it can be different. You can do a fast forward merge, but GitHub by default, when you complete a pull request, by default, it always does a merge commit. What I'm thinking about now is I also have to fix up. There's more to it than that. There's even more to it, because see how I've merged. Then let's just say, for sake of argument, let's say I finish the pull request. Oh, see, I have no upstream. So I finished the pull request. Okay, now I've changed GitHub now. See, this is so GitHub is different. As far as GitHub is concerned, there's only one branch because I completed the pull request, which I did a little bit earlier. I did a pull request. So that means in order to fix this up, there's even more I have to do. There's even more I have to do. I'm not done. I need let's do this, but let's notepad it. I need, after I reset main, I need to push main, right? I need to push it to origin, and I need to force that. Wow, so intense, like how much there is to do to set this up. So now that I've saved that, let's try it. Let's try the reset here. Okay, so we've gone through the scenario, we've used GitHub. GitHub did all this stuff. Now it's like reset it. And I did it. I reset it. That did what I wanted. That did what I wanted. Wow. Okay. The nice thing is because my script is using origin here, the nice thing is if I standardize on the term origin, and then I sort of in my head standardize on golden being another spot, and should that spot be hidden, or should I send people to the Dev Talk Show? Because here's what I don't like. What I don't like is that my face is here. That's not the greatest thing. So let's do some more playing around. This is pretty nuts. Think about it. I like the Dev Talk Show being. Maybe I should really do this somewhere else. Should I create yet another repo? Go out 2 small ones. If I come to just get coding, yeah, I've done this all here before too. I create. Maybe I even call it golden. Is that going to be a problem? I don't think it will be. Okay, then I can add that remote. It's going to be funny. And I even need my current golden. This is not a permanent state that I'm getting myself into here. I will not keep this stuff. Trying to think through. I know it seems like I might be. What is he working on? Really, what I'm trying to do is set up so that the show is very easy to understand. Okay, so now let's go take a look at that and get cracking. Okay, so let's see what the world looks like now. We've got golden, which has a bunch of stuff. We have new golden, which has nothing. We have my stuff that I don't care about too much. I'm gonna have to set main, and I'm gonna get rid of order. So what I can do now, I can do something like check out main. And then can I push it here? I could, but it doesn't look like Git Kraken. At least I may not know how. So what happens if I push that? I get exactly what I want, right? Yep, I get exactly what I want. Now, I have to do that one other place. That. That. Okay. So I've basically now created, these are the same. Okay. Fine. Might be like, why are you doing this? Because I don't think I want my origin remote to act. I don't think I want. I just don't. So now what I can do. I think what I can do. Okay. So now there's no remotes as far as Git is concerned. Git is like, man, you are just a local repository. I actually don't know that I need that Git origin. Now how does that look? Okay, move this remote. Here, I don't really need this. It's this. delete this. So this is what my world looks like. Let's even break this. That's somewhere it's not supposed to be. And now go back to my script here. This is for the Jetpack including. Let's see what happens. Okay, some stuff blew up. Have to do that. Find out. Want them to work. Problems. I think I'm trying too hard now. Oops. Oh, I know what the problem is. I need to get. I added something. Okay. Trying to get too fancy. Still didn't do it. Oh, because the. Wow. Now everything. Yeah, now it's all gonna work. If I run it again. Okay, so I get this like fatal of such remote golden. Makes me wonder if there's a if exists command or something, or a like a setting. Oh, fetches run immediately after the remote is set up. That's a good one. I like that. I'm gonna have to go add that in. So there's a git remote remove name, but it's got no options at all. Yeah, there's just no options at all, which is fine. So I can do this instead of this fetch, although the fetch is pretty darn obvious what I'm doing. That way when I look at this later, I'm what? Okay, so now we'll take a look at origin. What we've got going on here. These can go. Okay. Now that those can go, I can get origin. So this is what origin looks like. Okay. So what does it look like now when I try to do this? There should be an upstream though, right? That, like, I feel like that shouldn't happen to me. Like that shouldn't happen to me live. Okay, so let's mess this up. Let's mess this up. And the way we're going to mess it up is we're going to say we've done our work. We've done our work. We switch to main. We merge, which is, this is just like going to GitHub and doing a pull request. But in the interest of time, I'm going to do it this way. We'll merge with a no fast forward. So this is just like, oops. This is just as if we went to GitHub and we created a pull request and the pull request merged. And what would happen is we would look just like this. We would still have our old branch that would still exist. And then, but the pull request would be merged. So that means main would switch on us, right? Main would look like this. But our main would actually still be pointing here. So let's reset main. So this is what the world would look like. If we went through this scenario, created a pull request, merged the pull request, we would look like this. And that's where a lot of people get confused here. They don't realize that they should bring main up to date. And when they bring main up to date, that's a fast forward as well. But what I want to try now is, now that I'm in this scenario, I run my script, what does it do? Okay, it's done, and it seems to have done what I wanted. It reset main. It reset main the way I wanted it to. My laptop's back on main. This feature branch has been worked. And then all I have to do is go over to GitHub and sort of play with that one. I think this is the technique, but wow, what a pain. I have to get going. Okay, what's going on here? Should be back again soon. We're going to be on tonight on the Dev Talk Show. So if the Dev Talk Show is not that you're familiar with, this is the event going on tonight. And other than that, let's see who we can go say hi to with our limited number of people. Maybe go check out Tim Bodette. He's cool. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. Does that not work anymore? Oh, it does. Okay. All right. Well, I'm out of here. I'll be back. I'll see you all again. And we'll get better at the streaming stuff. But hopefully, if you have been hanging out, I hope you learned something, even if it was like, wow. I hope Git doesn't look too complicated now. But remember, I'm trying to create a workshop so that it's easy for other people. And I'm going to keep working at this. There's some other projects too. So catch you all again. Have a good one.